on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Yesterday was a beautiful day for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Today, we're down a little bit in the red, but only because we were up so much. In fact, in the past 48 hours, Bitcoin had gone from $6,800 all the way to $7,800. Yes, we have had a bit of a pullback. You do have to have a cool-off moment after that type of a move. However, I do want to talk about, is there still that possibility of having a $9,000 Bitcoin before the Bitcoin halving, which is coming up very, very soon. We're going to talk about that. Don't forget, we do still have a CME futures gap up around $9,000. I want to talk about blockchain on-chain data for Bitcoin that is revealing an absolutely seismic shift. We're going to get into all that. Should you be excited about that? Also, the fact that you're seeing on websites like localbitcoins.com, if we look over here at the volume over in Chile, for example, it's having an all-time high compared to the Chilean peso to Bitcoin. Now, obviously, this is due to some depreciation of the fiat currency, but it's also showing that you're seeing a demand for things like Bitcoin in these places where people are experiencing hyperinflation. And finally, I want to end on a little bit of a controversial tweet from Dan Larimer that's come out. Now, he was the one behind EOS, and now he's basically saying that he says EOS can be used in enterprise applications without the need for tokens. Now, I want to discuss this and whether or not this could actually be a problem for a lot of these altcoins out there saying that you need the token for utility. If we start having blockchains coming out without a need for tokens, what is that going to do for the altcoin space? And yeah, I think we should talk about that today. So short-term price action, we're going to talk about that $9,000 level potentially before the halving, big change, and also whether or not altcoins are in trouble. Obviously, feel free to drop your comments below. Let me know what you think. If you're not subscribed, definitely consider it. And without further ado, let's dive directly into the chart. So yes, you can see that we are down a little bit from yesterday. That is why Bitcoin is, slightly in the red today, but it is because we did get all the way up here to $7,800. We had spoken about that level a lot on the channel, but ultimately we did break out of this wedge. So actually, if we have a look at what's going on right now, as I've been saying, we are held down by the 21 exponential on the weekly. This was a very important level. You can see once we broke back above it here, we absolutely skyrocketed back in April, right? And then right here, it was sort of our last line of defense. We touched it right here. We couldn't break above it, and massive dump. Well, once again, we are struggling at that level. So I do want to see Bitcoin. Oh, what just happened there? Sorry, guys. I do want to see Bitcoin get above this level right here, which is currently right now around $7,670. If we were to break above that, then we could potentially see the $8,000 Bitcoin that some analysts have been talking about. Also, a potential $9,000 Bitcoin I'll get to in just a second. Now, currently, you see we are rejected at this. We do have a lot, actually, of overhead resistance. We have one at $7,778 and one at the $8,000 level. If we do have a pullback, we may find ourselves essentially on this trend that we started back here. That means that Bitcoin could have a little bit of a cool off, maybe down to the $7,000 levels again. It would still be totally healthy for Bitcoin. I wouldn't consider this to be anything bad. If Bitcoin was to pull down to the $7,000 level, you do need to have these cool off periods. We are still in this ascending possible bear flag still. I know, how could it still be a bear flag after a move like yesterday? Well, if we were to potentially even come up to about 8,500 and not break that, we would still be in the trend, and there would still be that possibility, of that massive breakdown, sort of similar to what we had back here. Not saying that that's what's going to happen. I'm just being realistic about that, but ultimately we are still trending relatively in the middle of the ultimate pattern that we've had from top to bottom. So, we're not out of it, but we're also not below it. So we're kind of right smack dab in the middle, sort of exactly where you'd want Bitcoin to be, a pretty much average price, right, over the past 3 years. Having a look right here, we do have the CME futures gap up at around 9,000. You can see, however, that we have pulled back into the ascending triangle over on CME futures. We briefly broke above it yesterday when we did have that breakout. We actually got up to $7,870, almost $7,900 on futures, but we are back in this trend, so we may actually bounce around again. Bitcoin could get kind of boring again for maybe the next couple days, the next week. We We are going into the weekend. We are going to have a CME futures gap. So we'll have that to look forward to, as well as this potential $9,000 level. Now, one analyst that does think that this $9,000 Bitcoin will be in play is Cointelegraph market analyst Michael van de Poppe. You might be familiar with Crypto Michael over on Twitter. He does post frequently, and he says if we make some nice slow retracements in the coming few days, I'm assuming we might even be going towards 8,400 or 9,000 as there is a CME gap. He says, but if we close the daily below 7,400, then I'm assuming this to be one big trap, and I'm probably even considering any shorts again. Now, currently having a look right now, we are sitting at around $7,467 at the time of making this video. Could be totally different by the time you're watching, but he is saying to watch out for the $7,400 level. If we do go below that level, keep your eyes on Bitcoin. It could turn out to be a giant trap. And we talked about this for the past 2 days when we looked at the 3 different possibilities of how the flag could break out. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, check out yesterday's video. And then the video actually before yesterday's video, we go into a lot more detail about that as well. But, one thing I wanted to point out is you can't really say that Bitcoin is 100% correlated with the stocks. You could see right here from bottom to top, and this is on the Brave New Coin Index. This is the most this has a lot of Bitcoin data. It's like a huge aggregation of all these different charts, and you can see that we're up 95%, or at least we were when we hit the peak yesterday. You haven't seen the stock market do that, so I beg to differ with people saying that we're following exactly what the stocks are following. I disagree. And another thing, before we get into the big Bitcoin shift news of the day, I do want to mention that we are seeing volume over in Chile skyrocketing to absolute highs. Now, in all fairness, you can see that over here, sorry, wrong thing. You can see that it's worth noting that the figures over in Chile are actually influenced by the depreciation of the Chilean peso, right? The currency fell by over 6.45% against the dollar in the last 2 months alone and has lost 27% over the last year. So obviously that is a reason why we're seeing it. But at the same point, you've also seen a Chilean cryptocurrency exchange, Crypto Market, which is a place you're trading cryptocurrencies, has seen an increase in trading volume. So yes, you could speculate that it's due to the depreciation of the peso, but you can also see that the daily trading volume in US dollars has grown by about 270% compared to March 30th, okay? Local residents do appear to be turning to cryptocurrencies as they search for an asset that can protect their savings from depreciation. And now getting into the on-chain fundamentals, once again from Glassnode, you could see that active Bitcoin addresses, so this is Bitcoin addresses that aren't just hodling, these are active Bitcoin addresses. They've increased by 8.93% in just the last week alone, and almost 20% this month. Transactions are up 5% over the last week and 15% over the last month. So basically, you can see right here in the chart that the number of active entities or the number of active addresses on the network has jumped to levels that we haven't seen since July of last year. They say the number shows new investors may be exploring the market, marking a shift from low activity levels that hounded the crypto space after the crash. And to quote them specifically, they say, this represents not only a recovery to pre-crash levels, but also a significant increase in activity as compared to just the start of this year alone. This spike in activity is to be expected due to the upcoming halving. A lot of people are excited about that, as well as a revival in widespread retail interest in Bitcoin. And if you check my Twitter out, I actually retweeted a few tweets today about people saying that they've had guys that have been in the crypto space for a while, they've had their friends reaching out to them, lots of retail interest, and we've also seen institutional interest as well. I'm not going to go into all the things we've covered in the past weeks in this video, but you do know we've seen interest over in Coinbase skyrocketing. You've had very influential people in the space getting hit up. I've seen lots of new subscribers on my channel, lots of new people in my crypto Telegram group. So that is showing me that there's interest as well, but it is not all sunshine and rainbows, guys. Bakkt CEO Mike Blandina is stepping down after only 4 months of taking his role. We also had Kelly Loeffler, the original Bakkt CEO. She stepped down. By the way, she's recently joined Trump's task force for the whole pandemic thing, but that's a whole nother story. And, ultimately Bakkt has been a bit of a letdown. We were really excited about Bakkt. We thought this was going to really be what we needed for the crypto space, and it turned out that essentially they kind of just pulled the wool over our eyes, right? They got rid of they still do have the physically settled futures, but then a lot of people were moving into the cash settled futures. Big disappointment. But that being said, I do want to kind of end on this. Let me know what you guys think. So Dan Larimer, he was behind BitShares and behind EOS, and he says now, keep in mind, these guys raised multiple billions of dollars in their ICO. I think it was like a $4 billion ICO, some insane amount of raise. But anyway, he does say that EOS can be used in enterprise applications without the need for tokens and with a half-second finality. High-performance database combined with deterministic business logic and audit trail has many benefits. He says, I'm actively implementing a product that utilizes 4 independent private chains, all communicating to achieve that we are enhancing the ways messages can be sent and validated across chains. The future is a multi-chain world. But my question to you is, this is great. I'm sure this is going to excite a lot of enterprises, but what does this mean for tokens moving forward? All these different tokens that claim to be utility and all these different, blockchains that people are speculating in, all of these different altcoins. What happens if we kind of just say, hey, we don't really need the token anymore. We could just do it without the token. What does that do to all of the altcoins, the alternative crypto investment space? I mean, will there still be that speculative investment on them? Possibly. But if you have blockchains running without the need for tokens, it could make a very different future for crypto and the blockchain space in general. So I'm not saying this is doom and gloom. I'm not saying go sell your altcoins today, but I want to know your opinion. Is this the beginning of a new shift in blockchains, where we're going to see blockchains without the need for tokens, right? Because you can already do that. But just let me know what you guys think below. Not trying to cause any FUD, but here you go, right here. EOS can be used in enterprise applications without the need for tokens. So there you go, guys. And also, I just wanted to point out that BitMEX is launching new Ethereum futures. Now, the interesting thing about this is it's called ETHUSD Quanto Futures. So basically, you can long or short Ethereum without needing Ethereum or USD. You can do it in Bitcoin. Very interesting. If you are interested in doing that, you can have fun with that. As you guys know, I'm not a fan of BitMEX. They have a really kind of shady past. I don't trade on them. I don't use them. If you want, you can come over to Bybit. They do have ETH perpetual contracts. They don't have the Quanto contracts. You can also actually come over to Bybit, and if you want, you can trade using USDT only for Bitcoin. So basically, if you want to trade Bitcoin futures, you can do it using just USDT. You don't have to use Bitcoin itself. I assume they're going to roll that out for Ethereum as well, but you can definitely check that out. They do have a tutorial on their website. But also, guys, speaking about one more thing before we go, as far as crypto exchanges, Binance is undergoing scheduled maintenance tomorrow, April 25th. You can go on their website and have it. It's in UTC time. I'm not going to convert that for everybody watching. But what does that mean? Well, if you want to get your coins off exchanges, if you're looking to do any trading within the next few days, it could get kind of crazy during that scheduled maintenance. So while that happens for the couple hours that they're down, they're saying it's only going to take 4 hours, but you guys know what happens to altcoins whenever Binance closes. There's always some crazy stuff that goes on in the background. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up. Having a look right now, Bitcoin is back above 7,500. So yeah, I mean, it's going to probably be a little bit boring. I would assume that, as we go forward, we're probably just going to kind of bounce around on this trend a little bit. We could actually bounce around on this trend all the way out to the halving. Could get kind of boring for Bitcoin, but let me know what you guys think about that below. What do you think about this volume increasing in Chile? What do you think about this controversial tweet? And ultimately, what do you think about the price of Bitcoin into the halving? Are we going to see that $9,000 level? Are we going to close the CME futures gap? Let me know what you think about that below. If you are not subscribed to the channel, definitely do consider it. Thank you again for coming back. You guys rock. You're the reason that I do this every single day. My name is K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.